Hey, Nick.
Hey, what's going on? Good afternoon on this wonderful Saturday.
Yes, on this wonderful Saturday evening. It is 7 o'clock or the dot. And we are ready to go, ready to go. Come on
Yes.
in here, y'all. I see
Uh-oh.
somebody coming
Here comes
online. Let's get
somebody.
some more folks online. Y'all know y'all want to watch Super Bowl tomorrow, so we got to do it.
Super Bowl. You know what? I was telling some of my friends, I was like, you know what? This is probably one of the least talked about Super Bowls that it's been in a while. So, but
Yeah.
either way it go, it's a tradition. Everybody likes to do something for Super Bowl Sunday. So here we are early on Saturday.
Yes. Hey, even I want to see Bad Bunny perform.
Yeah.
I don't know about any of the sports teams, but I'm in it for Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
Bad
Where did that
Bunny,
come
like
from? I
for
don't know.
instance.
Where
Huh?
did they get selecting him? I really don't know. But good afternoon, everybody. Once again, we would like to thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you guys for following us here on a Little Character podcast. I'm not for sure if you guys saw the videos that we posted earlier, but we're on early today due to some scheduling conflicts as well as the Super Bowl for tomorrow. So we're here on early here on Saturday night. For those of you that are not live, you'll be able to view it on Sunday night as well. So if you guys followed us last week, like I mentioned in our video earlier, we kind of inadvertently touched on a subject that we deemed necessary for us to talk about, necessary and important.
Yeah.
If you followed us, we were talking about Lot and his wife, and then also the fact that Lot was in agreement with, or actually deemed it necessary to sacrifice his daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, after we got offline, we had a conversation and wanted to kind of talk about the way women are treated biblically as well as in today's society. And I think it needs to be addressed, and not only
Yeah.
biblically and in society, but also the way women are treated in the church as well. So we kind of wanted to kind of come up with a podcast to talk about that, so we can have some conversations about that. So we'll let Tish go ahead and go off into it, and then we'll just roll from there.
Right. Well, just as you said, in Lot's story, we saw them just willing to cast away the daughters to the crowd to do whatever they wanted to do. And I will be honest with you, today and I don't know if this is what you were trying to say to me over the phone. It never got back to me, but
Okay.
it prompted what you said prompted me to go look at something that has always stayed in the back of my mind. It was a Bible story in the book of Judges. It's Judges 19. Yeah, you with me? Okay. It was Judges 19, and there was a Levite man who was traveling with his. The word that they used in the Bible was concubine, but it wasn't a concubine like we think of concubines nowadays. It was actually his second wife. So he had two
Mhm.
wives. She was the second wife. And he was traveling with her and ended up in the town. I can't remember the name of the town, but he had a similar experience as Lot, as the angels when they came to Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mhm.
And a man who was living in the city pulled him into his house, told him to get off the streets. And then this crowd was now it wasn't like Sodom and Gomorrah where the whole city came demanding him, but a few evil and wicked men came demanding him. And instead of sending this Levite out, the host sent out his daughter, who was a virgin,
Mhm.
and Levite's concubine.
Mhm.
In this case, the men raped the concubine to death.
Mm.
She died on the doorsteps. And this is probably one of the most gruesome stories in the Bible that I recall, because then the Levite does something extremely horrible, but I understood why. he takes the concubine and he breaks her up into 12 pieces and sends her to the 12 tribes of Israel, demanding justice for her life. And this led to a war between what was then in Jerusalem. If you remember your Bible stories, at one point Jerusalem was split, and it was Judah and Jerusalem. And so there ended up being a battle between the Benjaminites and Israel. And so, but it also speaks again to the same repetition of information that we took from Lot. Now, when I gotta say this, when I read the story of this Levite, I see a parable. I haven't had enough time to do the research on this story to prove my theory that it's a parable. And there's it's another lesson that we need to learn from this parable. But that's my theory right now. And I was talking to my mom about it earlier. I'm like, it reads like a parable. And so I'm going to do some more research, but it does lead to this discussion of how women are treated. And this discussion goes back to Genesis 1. Truthfully, Genesis 1. You know, we have women have always been seen as the evil ones because Eve tempted Adam in the garden with the fruit. And even when God came to Adam and Eve and said, okay, what have you done? And the first thing Adam said,
he said was the woman.
Yeah, she gave me this fruit to eat. And so I went back and I looked at Genesis today too, because I'm like, we just blaming Eve for everything, you know. But I went back and there's something that very few people pay attention to, even me. Adam was with Eve when the snake had the conversation. It literally says it. She gave it to her husband, and because he was with her. I looked in several translations, Nick.
Wow.
And it said he was with her when this happened.
So he was with her. Not only did he listen to her, but he didn't protect her either.
He did. Now, this is always my argument. Who was the husbandman of the garden? Who was put in charge of the garden to make sure that the things that weren't supposed to be in there, it wasn't in there, and the things that were supposed to be in there stayed in there?
Right. It was Adam.
It was Adam.
Wow.
And so this is what happens, right? We don't read, or either we read through with the same lens that we've always heard, and we miss key points. Like he was with her. She gave him the fruit because he was with her.
Wow.
And so we have no responsibility or accountability to Adam.
Wow.
But all of it falls on Eve.
Man, I'm speechless right there.
Because
you know what? Honestly, when you said it, I grabbed my Bible because I'm like, because I never really thought about it. Like I never saw that. That's an oversight. I mean, you know, and you know, one of the things that like we talked about last week or the week before when we're reading the Bible, we have to pay attention to almost every word, every single word, and every single detail.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and it's kind of like, I'll give you another thing. Most people say Eve, and I remember the song. It was a song called Pink Cadillac by what's her name? Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. She said, you know, Eve tempted Adam with an apple. And we'll go around saying they ate the apple. Everybody said, there's no apple in the story. But we don't question it.
We never question it. That's
we never
true.
question it. And so this is how some of these things come about. But that viewpoint of this story is what has triggered a lot of negativity towards women from day one. Eve is responsible for the fall.
Wow. Man,
Yeah,
I never, you know what? I never looked at it that way. Yeah, that's interesting. The fact that Adam was with her, and
Adam was
so
with.
not only did he listen to her, and because he had to know she was wrong, because if he was with her, he had to see it, he had to
Yeah,
witness it,
and
and
he
so
heard the serpent. He could
right.
have talked to the serpent.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah,
mm. Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, that opens up a lot of can of worms in regards to not only Adam, but just in today's world, how women are treated, meaning men are put in situations where they don't really protect women, and they leave them
exactly,
exposed. They leave women exposed, and even in even in the church, to a certain extent.
exactly,
Uh, and
exactly.
and and what we have to realize though is that God created all of us equal. And for me, I have to sit back and think about some of the things that has been drilled or instilled into me even from a little boy, on the way I treat women, talk to them, and even sometimes I look at certain situations and automatically assume or stereotype the situation because there is a woman involved.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, but I don't know how to get rid of that. I mean, the way to
right.
get rid of it obviously is to continue to stay in the word and continue to lead and guide. But it's just like racism.
Yeah,
Racism will always exist in some form or fashion. Now,
yeah,
I'm not saying that these things that are done to women are. I'm not saying that I honor those things, but what I am saying is that these things have been embedded not only in men but
yeah.
in women as well, to the point where women
Exactly.
even accept those things.
Exactly.
Mm,
I tell you, women have been treated as second class citizens in church. I've heard it my whole entire life. Especially when I was in the Baptist church. Now, when I felt my call into ministry, I did have to leave the church of my home. I love that church.
mm,
I love that church. And I'll never forget it. My Uncle Rufus was there. Reverend
mm.
Rufus Watley was there. He came to visit during a revival that my church was doing. And I walked up to my pastor, and he was standing by my pastor. And I said, Reverend so and so, this is my uncle. And he turned to my uncle and said, tell your niece that God ain't called no woman in the ministry.
Are
And you
you
know what
serious?
my uncle, yeah, he did. I promise you. I promise you. No lie. And
Wow.
my uncle turned to him and said, I can't tell you who God done called and who he hadn't. And he left it at that. Then he left it. I'm
Shout
like,
out
thank
to
you,
shout
all.
out to
Thank you,
Uncle
all.
Rufus.
I was in my
Wow.
20s. Again, another incident in my 20s.
Mm,
But
mm, mm,
I
mm.
ended up having to leave that church. And I'll never forget, we used to do those spiritual gift inventories.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the pastor would sit with all of us. Every
Hmm.
person who went through new members class got that spiritual
Hmm.
gift inventory, and they sat with the pastor to go over the results. I scored higher in pastoral leadership
Wow.
and teaching. And he told me my numbers was higher than anybody he had ever seen in
Wow.
pastoral leadership. And yet he would still turn around and tell me God didn't
That you
call me.
weren't called to preach.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That.
women couldn't even stand in the pulpit. They could come and set up communion. They could put the water on the podium and all that good stuff. But once all that was done, once service started, that holy place didn't welcome women.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's deep, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
mean that is wow. But
Yeah.
I guess the question then is how do we get past that? I mean, obviously it is being educated, but then
Yeah.
also it has to be a deep transition of your heart. I mean, it has to be. You have to be transitioned as well as educated. But the problem to that is that most men, particularly men, are not willing to be educated on the level of equalism between men and women.
Yeah. You know, I don't even know how to answer that question because it's so you're right. It is education. But like you said, if you look at church Bible studies, Sunday morning worship, everybody be in Sunday morning worship. You might have a million men in Sunday morning worship, but even when it comes to the general population, Wednesday night Bible study is like less than half of the congregation show up for Wednesday night Bible study. That's where you really learn. Sunday morning is like a motivational thing. You get some word and you go, but where you do the deep dives and really, really reading in the word is in Bible study.
That's
And
true.
so, yeah. And
That,
so when
that
they won't come to Bible study and they won't read at home, I don't know how to fix it, because then what happens is we end up in arguments and Facebook going back and forth. I have heard all my life, and I'm so sick of hearing this, that women should submit. Why? And they say women should submit to men, right? But really what the scripture says is, wives, submit to your husband.
the
But then
same
what
way
in the same way that
that the
husbands
husband,
submit to Christ.
yes,
But
yes,
then they don't read past that. They don't even read the part where it says the same way the husband submit to Christ.
right.
They don't read down to where it says submit ye one to another. I'm
Wow.
like, but you want me to be subservient. You want me to bow down. Now, one of the things that I have found, and I'm being a single woman and I've been married before. My ex-husband wasn't in the church, but I have dated some guys who were in the church. And most of the ones who stick to that stuff, who trying to enforce that, they're insecure.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
Insecure. I'm gonna
I,
call a spade.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you know what? As I increase my journey and walk with God, the more I'm able to spot insecurities within myself,
Yeah,
as well as insecurities within other people. And
yeah,
that number one is a telltale for men. And
total, total.
yeah, it's a telltale for men. But I guess it's a really deep cycle to break though.
It
It's like I
is.
said, it's like racism, it's like slavery. It is a really deep cycle to break. Like it literally goes all the way back to Genesis.
Yeah, yeah,
And then on top of that, we're fed the stories where we're only getting just the tip of the iceberg, and no one
right.
no one no one wants to dig deeper into the stories that we're actually told.
Yeah,
Now, I agree with the way the stories are told, and I agree that's the way things are passed down. But when you be realistic, some of the things that we learned as a kid about the Bible just ain't
it
it
don't
ain't
fly
there.
no more. It doesn't, and it's not there. That's
Right,
right.
right,
That's
yeah,
right.
it's right. It's not there. And
But
so, go
this
ahead.
is this is and I might get some flack for this, but your relationship with God should not be limited to the words on that piece of paper in that book. I
Mm,
love the Bible. Don't get it twisted. I love the Bible. I think it's a very, very powerful book of wisdom. But I can promise you that there are things that God has shown me that were not a part of a Bible study, that were not a part of my reading. It was about spending intimate time with God in contemplation,
mhm.
in follow, in walking. Do you know how many lessons I've learned trying to walk like Jesus? Well, I ain't talking about praying, I'm talking about living.
Mm.
Okay. Living day to day, trying to be like Jesus and
Mm,
coming across all the brokenness inside of me that needs to be fixed in order for me to live like Jesus, and having to
mm,
lay that crap on the altar and say, Lord, take this away from me, fix this, help me.
mm,
And the
mm,
lessons
mm,
that I've learned as a result of trying to correct me.
mm,
That's the piece that I think is not explored enough in the
mm,
churches, is that daily walk. because there's stuff you can learn by walking in humility, walking in love with everyone, and healing not just yourself, but trying to bring healing to every relationship you have.
Yeah, that's yeah. You know, one of the quotes of things that I ran across during just researching this subject in general, and it said that it said something on the lines that a woman is without a voice except when she's obedient,
Yeah.
which 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 means okay, I don't want to hear nothing you say
Yeah, just do what I tell
unless
you.
you're doing what I want you to do. And so, in other words, if you're doing what I want you to do, then you're also saying what I want you to say. So now you have a voice. But other than that,
I'm
but
so Nick,
but
and it gets worse than this. Again, I'm dating. I had this man tell me we were talking about getting married,
Mhm.
and he said to me, "I said, so how do we make decisions in the household? Because see, marriage scared me a little bit when we started talking about this stuff. It scared me."
Oh my
And
God.
so I said, and he says to me, "Well, we could talk about it." And I said, "Okay, well, what if I disagree with your point of view? Will you listen to mine?" And he said, "I'll listen to it, but I got veto power because I'm the head." I think that was the day that I said, "No, thank you." I didn't say it out loud, but my brain said, "Ooh, child, no, thank you."
Oh my God.
It's like,
Wow.
yeah, veto power, right? And that's
Wow.
how, but the church is supporting men in this. And it's I was watching a video today on the Hebrew Israelite community, right? And
Hmm.
this girl was saying there's misogynism in the Hebrew Israelite community. And I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, there sure is. But hey, I ain't Hebrew Israelite, that ain't none of my business. But but then what was interesting was another woman came behind her in the same little video, and she says, "There they go again, talking about misogynism. I'm in the Hebrew Israelite community. I'm pregnant. I got a husband, and he take care of everything in the house, and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "But when do you disagree with his opinion?
Right.
Yeah, when you
Right.
disagree with what he's trying to do, then what does your
Right.
belief system say? Can you
Can you
disagree?"
disagree? Is yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's the other question.
yeah.
And so yeah, that's so I've actually been in a situation before where, you know, and this whole thing about women preaching and men in the pulpit has been around for a long time. But
Oh yeah.
I've actually seen a situation where a female delivered a message and only a few people responded. Only a few people praised the message and gave the message its props for the creativity, just for putting it together. But then a male figure literally came right behind her, delivered the same message, and it was a completely different response.
Response. Woo, child.
Yeah, I mean, and I've seen it. Like I've seen it. Um, but I, honestly, like I really don't know what to do. And I'm not saying for myself, but I'm just saying collectively
Yeah,
as a community and as a whole, how do we get rid of that type of
yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
How do we get rid of it?
one of the things, and this is what I can say from a Black church experience, right? We got to remember how we got here in the first place. And
Mhm.
especially in the Black church, I would say that there was a movement for a period of time to elevate the Black man, which was necessary. It was necessary. They were trying to build up Black men to stay in the homes, to be a part of the family, And we saw the change. We see men doing more of that, taking care of the kids and all that, wanting to be involved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the challenge is what the way that they did it, they elevated the Black man while simultaneously pushing the Black woman down.
Pushing, which led to the whole women's movement. And then on top of that, now it became vice versa, meaning you have certain women in certain organizations or certain groups of people, they felt as if that to elevate the women that they had to
Push the men
push
down.
the men
Yeah.
back. Yeah. And that's yeah.
It goes back and forth. And now
Mhm.
we're seeing record-breaking numbers in divorce. We're seeing there's a whole movement now. It's kind of like a Me Too movement where women don't want to get married. They don't see the benefit of getting married anymore. And so we're seeing single parent homes left and right, you know. Um,
Mhm.
and so but to answer your question, what I think that needs to happen is to really take it from a wholeness perspective, right? We forget, we forget that Eve was taken out of Adam's side. And and I did some research on this too. Sometimes the Bibles use the word rib, but really and truly the Hebrew word referred more to a splitting of one individual into
To another one.
halves, right?
Mhm.
Two halves. And so Eve was taken out of Adam's side. And they say to be a helpmeet. They relegated helpmeet to a bottom, you know, is but a helpmeet is not, I'm just here to support your vision and be the supporting actress in your star movie, right? No, a helpmeet is the spiritual growth type thing. I'm to help you grow spiritually and help you fulfill and live out the call. We supposed to do that for each other.
Mhm.
Now, this is the thing. The other piece about this dialogue about how men should be the head and this is and the other has put more weight, more burden on men than they need to carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? And all men are given a little black book.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And honestly, it's like it's the black book of unspoken rules that are
Yeah.
instilled in you from like literally from the time you're a kid. And they range from, okay, hey, a man don't cry,
Yep.
or hey, a man always handle his business. Hey, a man always controls his woman. Literally, these things are taught
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kids. Like, yeah, and I call it the little black book. And these are like the things that we learn as a little boy from literally from I can't even remember how early of an age, but an extremely early age. And so
Yeah.
when you have things like that instilled in you from that way all the way up until you get into an adult, and then you meet a woman that is self-sufficient. You meet a woman that has ambition, that has goals, that is intelligent, that's intellectual, and then you're in a situation where you don't know how to act.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, me and my friend call it, I won't say what we call it, but because
No,
it's
Lord.
negative. But yeah, but this is the thing. I do believe all of this goes back to a trust scenario. We got to learn, I won't say we got to learn to trust each other because we're trying to keep from getting hurt. That whole need for domination, control, the upper hand, etc., that comes from a lack of trust in the other person and a need to feel some level of safety, right? But what I had to learn the hard way was that the Bible literally says, put your trust in no man. It
Mm.
says that. But then it
Mhm.
turns around and says, but put all your trust in God.
Put all your trust in God.
And so when we are walking and trying to relate and develop these relationships with each other, the goal is not for me to trust you completely. No, that's not the
Mm.
goal. The goal is for me to trust God completely, listen to his voice, follow his guidance, and believe that even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death sometimes, that I don't have a reason to fear because God is with me. Isn't that what we say?
Yeah.
So we can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Putting our trust in God allows for vulnerability.
That's it.
And
That's
so
it.
this whole dialogue that we are having needs to be turned back to the power of vulnerability and trusting God in all things,
Mm.
because it is only being vulnerable that opens the door to love and
Hmm.
wholeness.
Hmm.
Wholeness is not, I'm half until I meet you. No, the wholeness is about the wholeness of the earth. It is
Hmm.
about all of us being in this together. And as long as we pulling and tugging against each other, it's never going to be right. But if I bring my whole self and you bring your whole self, we can create something new and whole.
And
Right?
whole.
Yeah.
You know, man, that was really really good. But I have a confession to make, right? And so no, seriously, this is what happened to me. Um, so during my time when I was initially called, well, not initially, but when I accepted my call to the ministry, right? I was struggling like with a whole bunch of things that were going on in my life, and I would share it with my wife, and she and I would sit down and we have these conversations, and I constantly kept saying, I got to do this. God is talking to me. I got to wait on God. I have to wait and listen on God, blah, 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 blah. And it was when we had one of those like extremely high emotional conversations. Like we were both like in tears trying to figure out, you know, the next move and trying to figure out things. But one thing she said to me that really, really hit home with me was I went on a whole rampage and a whole spiel about God talking to me and God calling me and God doing this, me, me, me. And she said, but what do you think God told me?
Okay.
And I was just like, whoosh. I mean, it was like,
Where
shout
that
out
was
to you, baby.
going.
Shout out to you, baby. But no, seriously, it was like whoosh. That was like a huge, like, rude awakening for me, which was I was literally doing the things that we're talking about. Really, I mean, even it was involuntarily, like I wasn't meaning to do it, but it was just I never sat to really think about it. Not saying that God can't talk to women, but I
Right.
never really sat and thought about it. Like, okay, if we're married and she's my mate, then God can talk to her too. And
Yeah.
and when he's talking to her, he can also talk to her about me and about
Exactly.
us. Does that make
About
sense? Oh my God, man. That was like an eye-opening experience for me. That really hit home to me. And she said it so nice and simple. And she was just like, what do you think God is telling me? And I was just like, I couldn't say anything. I was
because
just
you
like,
hadn't even thought about it.
oh, right. I hadn't even thought about it. Right.
Because the world has taught you that it was all on your shoulders.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Hadn't
saw a
even
play
thought
a
about it.
long time ago. It was called Women Hold Up Half the Sky.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
just the title alone was so powerful to me. I'm like, if we come to the realization that you don't have to carry the world on your shoulders alone, we are here to carry that burden with you equally,
Equally.
you know,
Mm.
then there's no heavy weight on either one of us. We've got this together.
Mm.
That's how God designed it. But I'm going to tell you, the people who translated the Bible
Hmm.
oftentimes wrote, and we know this, they wrote it
Yeah.
from a patriarchal perspective. That just like we don't see the name of Lot's wife, we don't see the name of the the Levite man's wife who was cut into 12 pieces. We don't know her name.
Right.
But that is one of the most powerful stories, and we don't get her perspective on any of this. Because it is a male-centric point of view. But then we have stories like Esther. And when was the last time you heard somebody preach a sermon out of the book? Exactly. See, I didn't you have not heard anybody preach a sermon from the pulpit on the book of Esther. When was the last time you heard a sermon preached about Deborah?
Never. Now I've heard one about Esther, but it's been a long time ago. But never about Deborah. Never.
Exactly. Right. Deborah was a judge of Israel.
Yeah.
Who was married, by the way. Yes. Her husband was over the army. She was the judge and told him what to do. And he trusted that God was speaking through her.
Oh, that's deep.
But we don't, that's the thing. We got this as people, as ministers in the gospel, we've got to teach the whole Bible to the best of our ability. That's one thing we got to do. We can't avoid stories.
Right. And speaking of the book of Judges, and this is one of the things that I wanted to mention to you when I was in the car and we were briefly having the conversation, which was, okay, one of the stories that stood out to me was about the judge Jephthah and his daughter. And so for those that don't really know the story, I'm going to tell it real quick, and then I'll tell you how it relates. Now, you're going to have to follow me. So Jephthah was a judge, and he was also a warrior. And during that time, they were in battle with the Ammonites. So Jephthah made a vow to God and said, if you bring the Ammonites to me and at hand, basically letting us win this war, he was like, I will sacrifice the first living being that comes out of my household. So when he went home, obviously, they defeated the Ammonites, but when he went home, his only daughter came out of the household. So now he was battling with having to sacrifice his daughter, who was also a virgin, by the way. So his daughter, when he told his daughter, she pleaded for him to let her go off in the wilderness for 2 months because she was still a virgin. And then when she came back, he would be able to sacrifice her. But there's a couple of interesting things about this story. Number one, what we have to realize is the vow he made, people viewed his sacrifice as being godly, but it wasn't, because the vow he made wasn't from God.
It was not from God.
God never asked him to make that sacrifice.
Yep.
And so he sacrificed his daughter because he didn't want to go back on his word and his reputation.
Yeah.
And so it made it seem like, okay, that number one, the loss of females or the loss of females is normalized just to protect the male.
Yeah.
Which it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
Right. But it happens all the time.
It does.
Females are constantly losing, constantly suffering just to make the male look good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're taught that. I've been told to dumb myself down. Don't seem to be smarter than the men, And I'm a pretty smart person. There's a lot of dumbing down sometimes. I'm just kidding. But I've never been one to. It wasn't true to me. It wasn't true to me. And I'm like, if we want successful marriages, then we've got to start being honest with each other. We've got to start being our true selves with each other. We can't be one person in this place and another person in that place. Who wants to be in a relationship where you don't know the person? And marriage is supposed to be two becoming one. You ever gonna become one if you won't share the truth of who you are with me?
The hard truth.
The hard truth.
That's the hard truth. That's it, right?
And for women, the hard truth might be, I'm smarter than I done let you believe. I'm smarter than I let you believe because I was told my whole entire life to dumb it down to be more attractive.
Mm.
Do
But
you
then,
know?
but
Go
then,
ahead.
hold on, I'm gonna let you stop. But then it's not only important that we talk about the hard truth, but the key to it is we have to be able to accept the hard
You
truth.
have to be able to accept it.
And that's the key. I think that's the problem right there. Do you know how many conversations people cut short because they think that the other person is not willing to accept the hard truth?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Good.
Yeah.
Now go. What were you about to say? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
I
off.
got so much stuff going through my brain right now. There's so many things that go along with this topic, right? But one of the things that I was going to say was that it's funny because in the Jewish tradition, right, where the Torah comes from, where the Old Testament comes from, women were amazingly regarded pretty high. Do you know that in the Jewish tradition, women are considered to be more spiritual because they are a portal of life?
Mhm.
Heck, in African traditions, women are considered to be
Yes.
more spiritual because they are the portal of life, and
Mm.
they are a bridge between the spiritual world and the physical world. A
Mm.
baby comes from where? You know,
Right. Yeah. So
we
where
don't know.
so where do we as a society get away from that though?
I believe, I go back to, I don't like colonizers. I'm gonna sound like them folks in the Caribbean. The colonizers, they messed up everything, everything.
Everything you have to
Everything.
stop.
The colonizers messed us up because it wasn't until the colonizers they impacted a lot of things in the world intentionally. And I do believe, and I'm gonna say it out loud. There's folks gonna have some issues, but it's the truth. If you look it up, you'll know that there was some manipulation of this spiritual book to serve their best interest. And it
Yeah.
goes all the way back to the Crusades in the 1500s when they were going through demanding that people convert to Christianity or die. That's history, y'all. That ain't
That's
me
it.
making no stuff up. I did a dissertation on that when I was in Bible college. That's history. And so we know that these group of people had a image that they were trying to create, and they manipulated scriptures in order to do so. Prime example, and it still happens to this day. They pass this stuff down. It's kind of like generational curses, right? Do you know that there were several women listed in the Bible that have been taught to us as being men?
Wait a minute.
Sure.
Wait, hold on. Okay, which ones though?
Okay. In
That
Romans chapter 16, verse 7, Paul writes or describes a person named Junia and Andronicus as prominent among the apostles. They were prominent apostles. Junia was female, but nobody ever told you that.
Nope.
Then there was Phoebe in Romans 16, 1 through 2. She was a diakonos, as they say in Greek, a deacon or a minister of the church of Synchrea, but she was perceived to be masculine. Nympha in Colossians 4:15. There was a church at Nympha's house that Paul sends greetings to Nympha, who was the leader of the church. But the church treated it as if it was a masculine name, although she was a female church leader. Prisca really meant to be Priscilla in Romans 16:3. They say they often use her husband's name, who's Aquila, and she is often overlooked while she is the person who was in high status.
So
Paul's writing too.
Right. So it's obvious that throughout the Bible, women have held high positions within the realm of relationship with God.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the church, though, nowadays in our church, women are encouraged to serve but not lead.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of churches that don't want women to lead.
They do not.
And then they have a problem. They have a problem when women are in leadership positions.
Yeah. And then it translates out into the rest of society, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? I've had so many men to say some very sexist. I'm a leadership development coach, right? Within the federal government. I also do conflict management within the federal government. So I work with teams. I've worked with teams who were in conflict. And I've literally had a male to bring up the fact that man had dominion over woman in the workplace, okay? Not realizing that I had every right to file a complaint against him.
Yes.
Yeah, every right for saying that, because he was resisting the authority that had been invested in me by our leadership. There was a reason I was there to work with him, but because he didn't want to listen, that's where he went. Created a big mess. I tried to protect him, honestly, but somebody else told it and it became a big mess. But men often have issues with women as supervisors.
Yes.
That woman, she don't know what she's talking about. I've met several women who have worked in non-traditional roles, right? And I had one who was a aircraft mechanical engineer, and she used to go into the tanks of the aircraft when she was in the military and clean out the tanks. It was a dangerous situation because they would play tricks on her.
Just because she was a woman.
Just because she was a woman.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the problem. Then let's not even go into the fact that 1 in 4 women are raped in our culture. 1 in 4, not just women, young girls. You sit in a room with 4 women, 4 young girls, and one of them has been molested or raped. This goes in the church. Man, I mean, women have been raped and molested in the church.
Empowered but exploited all the time.
Empowered but exploited all at the same time.
All at the same time. That's
yeah.
Ooh.
So we must. It's not even optional anymore. We must create a new narrative and really, really have these discussions about what happened. Excuse me. What happened in the Bible, the truth of the Bible, and the fact that God has always valued women.
Yes. Always.
My mother always goes to Mary and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalene, going to the tomb and being the first ones to carry
preach the gospel.
Yep, the first ones to preach the gospel. She always goes to that.
Yeah.
And it's like we forget that Jesus didn't say, go get the other guys and bring them to me so I can tell them. He said, y'all go tell them.
Y'all go tell them.
And by the way, and Mary Magdalene, they always try to paint Mary Magdalene as a prostitute, but she was not. She was just a wealthy woman. And she funded a lot of the ministry that took place during those times. But we relegate her to being a prostitute. And the only thing we remember about Mary Magdalene is her alabaster jar wiping the feet of Jesus with her hair.
We don't think to figure out where did she get it from.
Thank you. And the alabaster jar was expensive.
Right. Because she was extremely wealthy. We don't think to figure out like where did she get it from? How did she have access to it? Well, because she was extremely wealthy.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. So we have to stop looking at scriptures in the old traditional ways, but we have to bring out the truth of these stories through the research because it's there. Just takes time to look it up. It's there. Now that we got things like AI and stuff, Gemini gave me all the women whose name in a matter of seconds. I had it in a matter of seconds. I'm like, see, I know. Yeah.
But then also, and this is a deeper subject, and we'll probably need about 4 or 5 episodes if we really dive deep into this one, which is, a lot of times we refer to the Holy Spirit as a masculine figure. Like we refer to he, she, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not. But and we do. We refer to the Holy Spirit as a masculine figure. But it's not.
Yeah. The Greek word for the Holy Spirit is pneuma, like breath of God, and that's a feminine noun. It's a feminine verb or whatever. And we don't talk about in order for there to be a son, there had to be in order to create life, right? In the Bible, if you look in Genesis, it says, let us create man. It don't say, I'm going to create man. It says, let us. What better than to create with than a feminine aspect of life? That's the only way to create life is through the feminine vessel. So the Holy Spirit had to be feminine.
Ooh, girl, I told you we was gonna need about 5.
Yeah, we're gonna need about 5 episodes on that one because it has to be a feminine aspect.
Hey, listen, we're gonna have to definitely check. We're gonna have to definitely check the thread and the chats on this one.
Okay. I don't see no chats right now. Y'all put something in there. Let us know how we doing.
Hey, just wait.
I know.
Which is all fine and dandy though. It is fine and dandy because like I've always stated, which is I really enjoy these conversations, and these are things that we really need to address, talk about, and eat and just learn from each other in regards to it. And because just the insight that you just provided, like I never thought to think that Adam was like literally with Eve when she was actually got tempted. So I'm like,
And I'm talking about it's not in Greek, it's not no unique language, it's and comma, and she gave him the fruit, comma, because he was with her.
Wow, so
why would they have been separated in the first place, right?
Right. He was right there with her, watched her get tempted, didn't protect her.
Nope.
And then she took the fall for it.
And then she took the fall for it. The story of the ages has been told over and over and over
again. And over again. Women always get like my dad always say, I got the short end of the stick.
Right? Yeah. I mean, this is why women are hesitant to come and let people know that they've been raped. Because they always get the short end of the stick. They're treated, I've seen it, where even other women will treat them with suspicion when they say that a man has done something to them.
Well, you shouldn't have been wearing those clothes.
Yeah.
but they
What were
don't
you
look at the
doing where
fact.
you was at? Why
Right.
were you there?
Right.
Because I thought I was safe.
Wow. Yeah.
That's the simple answer. Because I thought
Mm-hmm.
I was safe in that environment. Turns
Mm.
out I wasn't.
Wow. I'm telling you, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
This world, today, it's and I guess for me personally, I number one try to be on top of like the way I think. I try to be on top of the way I treat my wife, and my daughters as well, because
Yeah.
I have two daughters, so I'm just like, okay, trying to ensure that number one, that some of these things that I've learned and from back in the day, some of these things that have been instilled in me, I try to make sure that whatever comes out is godly and all in the love of God.
Yeah.
It was like I was just telling about the story of Jephthah, which was that, he literally sacrificed his daughter for a vow that God never asked for.
Thank you.
Like,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-mm.
So it wasn't godly. But yet and still it was viewed upon from him, or the way people looked at him was, oh, you made a huge sacrifice to God by sacrificing your daughter. No, God never asked
Exactly.
for that sacrifice.
And I tell you, in contrast to that is Abraham and Jacob, or was it Isaac? I always get them mixed up. Abraham and Isaac.
Mm-hmm.
When God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son,
Yes.
God did not require Abraham to sacrifice his son.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
He did. Right.
he
Oh,
didn't.
same scenario. Yeah.
Same scenario, but
Yeah.
yet the son is saved, but the daughter is killed.
Because the sacrifice wasn't made by God. That's it right there. And
That's
so
it.
a lot of times, we will put women at expense because of things that we believe in, or because of things that we're doing ourselves and
Yeah,
not listening or adhering to God's rules. And then unfortunately, a woman's lost life or whatever is put at an expense, which is
yeah,
completely against God's will.
exactly. Well, and I'll tell you this, if you ever have a question about whether or not God loves a woman as equally as a man, remember John 3:16.
Mm.
For God so loved the what?
World.
World. The world.
The world.
Not man,
Mm.
not that group of people over there,
Mm.
but everything and everyone within the world
In the world.
was so loved by God that he gave his only son
Mm.
so that we would not perish.
Mm.
Let that be
Woo.
your guiding light in everything that you do. Let that be your guiding light. Remember that.
Mm, 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 mm. Mm,
And
mm, mm.
remember that if man was created in God's image and likeness and a woman came out of it,
Hmm.
there had to be some part of God that was a
Mm,
feminine aspect
mm.
in order
And
for
then one
women.
thing we have to also remember is that Jesus never diminished women. People
He,
did.
he did
People
not.
did.
People
Right.
did. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh-wee. Goodness gracious, man. Wow.
It seems like this, and I'll say this before we close. Every time I run into, and I often run into people who have issues with the Bible because of what they believe to be there, that there is diminishing roles for women, or there is racism, or there is sexism, or there is, misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, when you really look at the Bible, none of that is God.
Right.
The Bible describes a God in a different way. As a matter of fact, all of mankind is looked at in the feminine because God is the husband and we are the wife. Christ is the husband and we are the church. The church is the feminine aspect, period. Always.
Mm. Woo!
Yeah, we could do this several
Ooh,
episodes.
we can do this one. Oh my God, man. This one here is oh, is
Yeah,
is is heart touching. it's
Yeah.
also life changing.
It should be life changing.
And it should be something that we need to talk about on a, not just on this platform and not just on this level, but this needs to go to other levels, other platforms, types of conversations like this,
Yeah.
because women have a place in the Bible, they have a place in the church, they have a place in this society.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, their place has always been overlooked. It's always been mistreated. It's always been misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys, we are right at our hour. So
Yeah.
once again, we hope you guys will enjoy the Super Bowl. We thank you guys for participating. Those that came on live tonight with us, we thank you. We appreciate your love and support. Once again, this episode will be viewed Sunday night. So we'll continue it next week. This will be the second portion of Still a Christian, Still a Woman. So
Mm-hmm.
we once again, as always, we appreciate your love, your support. Also like to appreciate your input as well. So give us a chat. Drop some comments on our Facebook channel, YouTube channels, all of our social media accounts. That will be it for tonight. We love you guys. Tish, you have anything before we close?
Nope. Just have a great night, everyone.
Y'all have a great night. All right, love you, cuz.
Love you too, cuz.